was under the impression that I was like, okay, this 2,500 square feet. I'm going to use 1,000 square feet for Amazon, and at the same time, I'm going to open a mattress store in the front end side of it. I'm not sure what I was thinking at the time, but I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do because it's always that hard jump, right? To say, okay, like there's a lot of you don't have added bills at your house, and now it's like, okay, now I'm going to have an extra $2,000 a month of bills. Do I really want to do this? I'm like, okay, the warehouse, between the mattress store and Amazon, and and I did that, and I was trying to get set up, I literally painted my walls blue and green for the mattress store, like this. Wow. I was all in on the damn mattress store, and then I forget what it was, or something where I needed somebody to give me a reference or something, and they were slow in doing the reference, which then I missed the approval, and then by the time I got the next month, I'm like, holy shit, my warehouse is full. Where am I putting these damn mattresses?
Welcome to the FBA Basecamp podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to FBA Basecamp podcast. We have Jeff joining me, and then we have our guest, Oscar Martinez. He's a seven-figure seller that's been more recently into wholesale. We're going to sit down and talk to him and kind of see what his background is with selling and kind of his story on what he stands for here. Oscar, how's it going? Thanks for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. Glad to be, on the podcast and just talk about the journey and hopefully throw some valuable knowledge out there.
Yeah, you always do. We both kind of look at your different posts that you have on between Instagram and YouTube and all that, and we love seeing the different stuff that you've been posting, especially lately. It's been real fun to watch that content.
Oh, thanks. Definitely, man.
So for the people that may not know you, which I think a lot of people do know you in the space, but for those that might not, kind of give us a background of what got you into selling online and kind of a history of what you've been doing in the Amazon space.
Yeah, definitely. So, I started my journey probably in 2019, around March, April of that year. During that time, I was just working from job to job at warehouses, just picking, packing, basic stuff like that. And yeah, I was getting really tired of my jobs, being in that environment. And, because I didn't have a college degree either, I kind of didn't want to go the college route for me. And then, so I just got on YouTube and started looking at ways to make money online. I ran into crypto, stocks, eBay, drop shipping, and all that. And yeah, and then I ran into a channel by my good friend Noah Mensis. Shout out to him. He was doing some drop shipping, but it was wholesale drop shipping, which is the only legit way to drop ship on Amazon. And so, he started talking. I saw a video about him talking about taxes and forming an LLC. And that was something I'd never seen anybody talk about on the space, during that time, because everybody was too busy flashing Lambos, Rolexes, mansions. So when I saw his video talking about
business formation, doesn't usually sell courses or clicks either.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why when I saw his video and saw that he was talking about this stuff, I was like, oh crap, this guy, he seems legit. So I went down the rabbit hole, checked out his channel, and saw that he was on Amazon, eBay, doing the model he was doing. And so yeah, I bought his course, which I think was $200 at that time. And yeah, I just started following all the steps that he was teaching in there. So I started doing it on eBay at first. So I started listing products, opening wholesale accounts, and then just, copying all the images, which is a lot of work on eBay. And yeah, because in the beginning he was more about eBay, I believe. And then he started talking about Amazon more and more. And so I started opening that Amazon account too. And then I started doing the same thing. I think the next day I made my first sale, immediately.
Oh, so, wow.
Yeah. And so, yeah, during that process, I did that for the rest of 2019. Didn't put too much time into it though, honestly. I kind of just I was in that phase where I was I want to do this, but I want to do that too, or this other thing. So, I was just kind of everywhere. And then, the pandemic happened in 2020, and I started having issues with some of these suppliers that couldn't ship out products for almost a whole month lead time. And so I had to pivot in that aspect and find different ways to kind of change my model. And so that's when I stumbled upon retail arbitrage, and I saw that popping up more on Facebook. So I researched it because I already had an Amazon account. So I researched it, decided to give it a go, and started making some sales like that. And yeah, little by little, I started getting more into retail arbitrage. And then as the months went by, I started doing more like online arbitrage, which at that time nobody was really calling it like OA or online arbitrage. It was just buying online and having it shipped to your house, right? That's what I was just doing. I guess I was already doing OA before it was really like a thing to really talk about. But yeah, so I started doing more of OA, and little by little started cutting off RA because it was just getting very time consuming. Waking up at 6 in the morning, driving out to the store, literally just going to each outlet or store or whatever, and just dealing with traffic, people, and all that. And yeah, so I did OA for a good amount of time. Then I started doing more wholesale because I really just wanted to do wholesale. I knew what it was in the beginning, but I didn't have the capital to do it like fully. And so yeah, started building my capital, and from then on, just been fully wholesale at that point.
Yeah, now I know in 2022 is when I started. I very quickly found your site or your pages and started kind of watching stuff because you were posting everything from prepping to all that kind of stuff. You didn't hold back anything. You were actually showing products that you sell that you were even putting into those kind of things too. But you were showing like, this is how you prep something. This is how you send it out, and like that stuff was like super valuable to me when I was first getting going. And then one of the things that I noticed right away is like you didn't. Like you never seemed like you were, embellishing anything. Like everything was like exactly how it is. You were very honest with, things moving forward. You said like, look, I'm not flying private jets and all these kind of things, but here's some information that might help you and those kind of things. And that's something that resonated with me because I was like, this person I can trust because, the content that you're putting out is actual stuff that you are doing yourself and that you found to be successful. And then when you switch to wholesale, I know you one of the things you talked about is one of your first buys that you had that really almost sunk you. One of those things. Can you talk a little bit about like when you first went going and what happened and how you pushed through that to keep pushing through to wholesale?
Yeah, so I actually had two instances of this separately. So back when I was doing the drop shipping, I was trying to do like some actual wholesale, but like I said, I had no money like that. Uh, but I did give it a go. So that same supplier, I actually bought like a few hundred units. I spent like 3,000 on one product, and that product was good at the moment. It was selling. Then another bigger wholesaler came on the listing, and he dropped the price by like $10, and he had like he had like over a thousand units in stock. So yeah, that taught me a huge lesson as far as going deep and not doing enough research. So that was one instance. And then the biggest instance was last year, literally during Q4. So we have this one product that we're still selling today now. But basically, it was moving so fast. It was very profitable. And so I was literally spending all my capital on this product. And around October or November is when Amazon was starting to like crack down on those generic brand listings.
Yep.
So apparently that product was under that generic brand. So, and I mentally I saw that coming, and I was like, damn, I'm gonna have to like get rid of these products as soon as I can. And the worst part was that I had already pre-ordered like 2 more pallets of this when that was going on, and I didn't want to like back down from that order with my supplier either, because I'd already made that commitment with them. But yeah, so eventually I just kept trying to sell those units, and yeah, next thing you know, the listing got taken down. And so I was stuck with all those units. And I believe a few days later, I got those other 2 pallets as well. And so, yeah, so I was just looking on Amazon to see if I could find a similar listing. And luckily for me, there was. It was slower moving at that moment just because the other listing was like higher ranking or whatever. And yeah, so I listed it on there. This is actually the reason I created my Walmart account too, because I wanted to liquidate this wherever I could. And then I listed them on eBay. Sold a few on eBay, but nowhere near as fast as I was on Amazon. And so yeah, about like 2 weeks later, that other listing started to kind of pick up because people were still searching for this product, and the other listing wasn't active no more. And so little by little, I was starting to get more sales coming in. And yeah, now that listing is basically ranked the same as the other one was. and I managed to sell through that product during that time. But yeah, I went through almost a whole month of that product, just tying up so much capital in that process. And luckily for me, it worked out. I managed to sell out and not go through that anymore. But yeah, that was probably one of the toughest losses or lessons I've had up to date so far.
Now, are you doing any OA anymore, or is it all wholesale?
It's all wholesale now.
And is that through a lot of suppliers? So a lot of people that we talk to in the space, and we have a lot of new people in our Discord groups, and they're always trying to say like, "Oh, wholesale's the way to go. Wholesale's the way to go." And Jeff chimes in and says like, "You don't have to do it that way. You can do it a lot of different ways." But people are thinking they have to have a ton of different suppliers, and we keep trying to tell people like, you can do really well with having solid relationships with people and not having to go that deep. So do you have a ton of suppliers? Are you mainly ordering through a few, or how does your setup look like?
Yeah, I mean, so I have a few active open accounts, but as far as actually buying from, we're probably only buying from like 3, 4 max right now. So yeah, it's not that many that we're buying from though.
Any advice to people on negotiating prices and order quantities and developing those relationships with the suppliers?
Yeah, so if you would just want to break the ice, I mean, place an order. Like regardless if you're profitable, maybe you lose a bit of cents or you break even, just place an order. I talked to some other seller that they had some data behind them that said that I think like 80 or 90% of Amazon sellers have never placed an order with any of their suppliers. So
Wow.
if you can just place one order, I mean, you're already breaking the ice there, So just place an order. And as far as negotiating the pricing, it's like I tell people, if you're coming in the wholesale with a big amount of money, you can negotiate from day one. But if you don't have the money to back it up and you just have maybe like 3,000, 5,000, then just keep it, just place a few orders. And once the suppliers see that you are reliable, they see that you're someone who's willing to work, then you can negotiate pricing down the road when they feel more confident in you.
Yeah, that's kind of a key thing that I've seen is that I've had a lot of history in my past jobs working with, placing large orders with, distributors and those kind of things. And really the salesman on the other end of the line there just wants to know that it's worth their time to deal with you and that you're not going to like say, okay, well, minimum order quantity is 500 units. Well, can you do 10? Like they don't want to hear that stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
They want to know that you're going to order next month. They don't want to sell you something and then you just disappear. They want to know that you're going to repeatedly get into that. And they want to have you as a customer. And if you're not going to do that, you're just going to disappear, then it's really not worth their time to sell to you and to negotiate with you at all because it doesn't benefit them at all.
Yep.
Is that kind of something that you see in your space?
Yeah, basically. I mean, that's all it comes down to, right? Just make it worth their time. I mean, because you can just say, hey, I want to see a catalog and I'm an Amazon seller. They're not going to care about that.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of those same suppliers that, I don't even order from them right now for my Amazon store, but I still like wish them a, happy Thanksgiving and Merry Christmas. Cause at some point when I start ordering, I want them to remember who I am and remember that I did purchase a lot from them in the previous life of stuff here. So what does your prep setup look like? Are you using a prep center? Are you doing it in-house? Like how does that all work?
Yeah, so we're doing majority in-house prep here in the house. I have 2 preppers who they come in, they prep it pretty fast. But we do have a prep center for one supplier that we have an account with. They strictly want a commercial address, so we got a prep center that will receive that supplier's product. So, but it's about 90% in-house, 10% prep center right now at the moment.
Okay, and is that family, friends, or who's looking at doing the prep for you?
A family.
Okay, yeah, that's
so you're getting
awesome.
pallets and tractor trailers at your house essentially.
Yeah, I post pictures of them all the time, like big 18-wheelers just posting up in the front yard.
Nice.
Now, how many times do you have it where they don't show up with a lift gate?
Just in the beginning, and I think that's because they're not used to your location yet. So yeah, that beginning process will be a bit difficult. I think my first order.
What do you do then? How do you deal with that?
Hand unload it.
Yeah, it's just a waiting game. If they don't come with the lift gate, there's really nothing they're gonna do about it. They're gonna have to reschedule it the next day. Until someone comes with one. So I think my first order, it took me like a week for someone to finally come with the proper truck. So
yep.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah,
Do they charge you extra for that service?
No, they don't charge extra for that.
That's good. I know a ton of them do. Like we had again at the old work that I had, they didn't have a loading dock, and we tell them that it was on all the paperwork, but people would show up and they didn't have it, and then they would refuse. It would be a small pallet too. They'd be like, "No, we're not unloading it by hand." We're like, "We'll help you. Like, can't step in my truck." So you'd have and then you have other people like, "Yeah, hop on in here. You got a pallet jack? Great, take it." But it all depends on who you get with there.
Yeah, definitely. Relationships with your truck drivers matter. So
yeah, I assume your driveway is not on a hill too. I guess if you're loading stuff through.
yeah, it's pretty straightforward. Not no hill or anything.
Yeah, we have at our house. We haven't because we, like most, we started at our house. We got some pallets, and I forget we got some beauty products, and it was a friggin' heavy pallet, and I didn't think we were gonna get it up the damn hill into the garage, let alone then trying to get it back down. But
now, is your pallet jack motorized? I know you have the what do you call it? The scale on yours to tell the weight of the pallets. Is it motorized as well, or is it just?
It's just the basic one. I think the motorized ones cost like way more than that.
Oh, it's a ton more. Yeah. But I seen yours. I'm like, that's a smart way to go to measure those pallets, so you know what you're sending out and how much weight's on each one of them.
Yeah, I got that tip from Watch Me Amazon because I had shot him a DM about pallet jacks, and he told me like long term get the one with the scale because it's gonna help you out much faster and better. So I took his advice and bought it. So yeah.
Jeff, how do you measure your pallets?
I don't. We just do full truck, so I don't think we.
You don't
even. But we do have when we're building the truck, we have a sheet that maps what's going what, because lots of times we have like 5 different trucks going when we're building our shipments, and then some UPS stuff. So it's all on sheets, and then we record the weight of the box, and that goes in our sheet. And then we have formulas that'll summarize the pallet. So it's not necessarily perfect because I think I forget what our formula is to add for the weight of the pallet, but at the end of the day, it doesn't. The weight's usually not, at least for FTL, the weight doesn't matter. Does LTL? I can't remember. I know the dimensions are big because we've gotten had to fight with different companies that say we didn't put it in the right dimensions and then are charging us 50% more for the shipping or whatnot. But
wow.
Yeah, I don't know if the weight seems to matter as much, but I guess it does for LTL. We just don't do as much LTL anymore.
Well, and Amazon has their own restrictions on the height of the pallets too, right? It's not the carrier; it's mainly Amazon.
Yeah, because inbound you'll get 6-10 feet pallets, but outbound to Amazon, I think it's under 6 feet, right? 6 feet.
That's like 72 inches, I think, max that you can have it.
Yeah. So 6 feet.
Now, if you have smaller pallets, do they stack them on the trucks, or is it all just one at a time? So you're getting 26 or whatever it is for.
We've squeezed like 28, but I don't know how we've done it, to be honest. But no, we don't double stack ourselves. But we've received pallets that are double stacked at times.
And you're just doing LTL, right, Oscar? You're not doing any full load. I don't know. Could you have enough room to do full loads in your garage?
I don't think so. For us doing FTL, would probably have to be all warehouse. That would be too much space to take up.
Yeah, that'd be a lot of pallets for you. You'd have it like sitting out.
Yeah, I mean, for what it's worth, full truckload can start to make sense, like 5 to 7 pallets, and definitely once you get over 10 to, like, we're not always sending a truck with 26 pallets. It's just the fact that
really?
A 10 pallet shipment is going to cost me it's going to be just as much to do it LTL versus FTL, and there's a lot of benefits with FTL that you don't get with LTL.
Yeah, I've heard about like live unloads with FTL and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you have to schedule an appointment, so like you're live unloading. So with LTL, it can be a crapshoot. And sometimes there can be some really long delays and stuff with it. Not that it always happens. I think plenty of time LTL is very smooth as well. But with the FTL, you have a better chance of picking up in the morning and have that whole truck checked in within 24 hours. Like that's not uncommon with FTL.
So are you paying the same cost for a full truck regardless of what's in it. It doesn't matter if there's 2
Correct.
pallets.
Yeah. Full
Oh,
truck
wow.
is just, I mean, we used to get full trucks for $250. So like, we got full truck for $250. We put 20 pallets on it. Like, we rarely pay more than a penny or two per pound, which is, hard to compete with, for somebody who is using UPS. LTL, obviously you're getting your rates down as well, but like, there's somebody that's shipping 30 cents per pound, 40 cents per pound, on an a 10-pound item. Well, they're paying $3 to $4 to ship it, and I'm not paying. I'm paying 10 cents. So it's definitely. It definitely, as you start to scale, being able to go full truckload definitely helps. Obviously, I also have the warehouse overhead, the forklift overhead, all that stuff that goes along with having the warehouse and storing 26 pallets. But from a shipping perspective, at least my costs are down.
No, yeah.
Now, Oscar, when your prep center is doing it, is your prep center using LTLs or full truckloads, or are they just sending it out like UPS or whatnot?
I think they're using LTL, I believe. We've done only one shipment so far with them, and I think it was LTL. So yeah, definitely just doing LTL, and they might do FTL depending on how it goes. So yeah.
Yeah, it'd be nice to get those rates. I know, like, I think the last one I sent out was like 70 cents a pound or something with the fee structure. They changed things on, and I was like, it used to be 30, like, and 30 cents. I was like, oh man, that's not so bad. But then Jeff's like, at the time, he was like, I pay like a penny or a fraction of a penny, and I'm like, that's a huge difference, especially like when it was small and light stuff.
Yep.
Back then that would have been massive. Now I understand why some of the people of like Jeff's size are able to lower the price so much more than I would ever be able to touch. I'm like, I know I'm getting this at the cheapest price, but now I understand that was, all the fees that are associated with that really give you an advantage of being a sizable business.
Oh yeah, definitely.
So what kind of products are you doing? Groceries? Or you like what are you doing that's wholesale? And do you stick to just that, or do you expand into household items and toys and all the other? Because you used to be heavy into toys. It looked like, at least with the eBay stuff that you were doing before.
Yeah, we used to do toys in the beginning, just because you hear about toys do so well in Q4, get into it and stuff. So yeah, I opened up a wholesale account with a toy distributor and was messing around with it. But over time, you start getting, you try different categories, you try different like prepping styles, margins, velocity with certain categories. Yeah, groceries is probably the number one that we like to mess with the most. Sorry, just because of no returns. I really hate dealing with returns, so that's why I like the grocery category much more than any of the other ones.
Do you find it real competitive with the other wholesale companies or the other people that are selling wholesale?
And the grocery category, or
Yeah,
it could be competitive in the grocery category since it's fairly easy for anyone to try out. So it makes sense for it
right.
to be competitive.
Yeah, the low cost of entry doesn't give you a whole lot of barriers into it. So it seems like if people are trying to get into it, they're going to hit that category first, and before expanding into something where they're spending $20,000 for a minimum order of something, which seems like unfathomable for a lot of people.
Yeah, no, yeah, definitely. And it seems small, but once you start growing and scaling, and 20K almost seems like nothing at some point too.
Yeah, I remember following some of your stuff through Instagram, and you're kind of posting your journey along with, switching to wholesale. And I'm like, oh, those are decent numbers. And all of a sudden, it like blew up, and I was like, wow. I was like, that's so much better than it was. And then I think you were even saying like how much less time you were spending, getting to that point. All of a sudden, it clicked, and it was like, this is really making sense now. When was that for you?
With the wholesale part.
Yeah, like when did it start like clicking and you were like, okay, this is real money and this makes sense now and I need to keep putting my efforts towards, growing wholesale accounts?
Definitely when I found that one product that I had mentioned before, that one really showed me like, holy crap, if you can just find one supplier, one product that works like that, you really just need to open like 3-4 accounts and double down on those and really just, max it out. So yeah, because of that one product though, I mean, all my capital went from like way wholesale to basically like almost 80% wholesale almost
Wow.
overnight with that one product. So yeah, like my VAs were still sourcing OA leads, and honestly, half the time I was just avoiding them at that point because I didn't have the capital to even buy them. So yeah, I had to like just restructure everything at that point because I knew eventually them sourcing all waste stuff, which is going to be a waste of time now.
Do you still use VAs to go through your different catalogs for wholesale?
Yeah, we'll open a new account and I'll tell them to manually source the entire catalog, and they'll just take it one day at a time.
Yeah, I think that's key. I mean, a lot of people will try to, automate the sourcing with it, and they miss so many products. And Jeff's a huge fan of like just getting in there, getting dirty, and doing the manual sourcing with everything.
Yeah.
And Jeff, is that the same thing you do with the wholesale stuff too? Does your team do a lot of manual sourcing with that?
We tend to run it through tactical arbitrage first, just to get like a list, but then we'll do some manual searching as well, just trying to make sure we don't miss anything as well. As you said, you can find some of the the stuff that doesn't match can be obviously the best stuff. So it always makes sense to do a little thorough investigation beyond that. It depends on the list too, right? 10,000 SKU distributor list. I'm not paying anybody or looking at each one of those SKUs. But a smaller supplier with a 2-page catalog. We'll want to look through all those items through various sourcing techniques.
Yeah,
wow.
I've had a lot they'll get the Excel spreadsheet. It's got all the UPCs, all the pricing. It gives you your pricing on it too, or it'll say like, generally you can take X percentage off of whatever the list price is of all those things there. And I've also got them where they're like, just look at here's your portal that gives the pricing that you get on the site. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like trying to go through how many things they have is just massive, for a reseller. Now, if you're looking at it as a service company, it's great. You're going to buy and you can go through and just order it. But as a reseller, it can be daunting to have to go through something that large. What does your software stack look like that you use for your business, Oscar?
Yeah, actually, let me pull up a different browser. I have like all my software stack like right there. Okay, yeah. So obviously we have the seller account, pro account, inventory lab for P&L, 2D workflow for helping our prepping flow go faster, seller snap for repricer, smart scout to find brands, Reveller as our calculator, and obviously Keepa and IP alert.
Reveller, I like it.
Yeah, I was going to talk on that.
Everybody, I come from the Reveller era, I guess is what I like to consider myself.
Same here.
Reveller was it. Like, I always joke, like, Reveller down, I'm not sourcing. Like, I can't use it. Now, I use Ace and Zen as well, which is, really, it has the very similar flow. It just, I like Reveller's variation viewer a little bit better. Ace and Zen, I like some of the the features that it has built in right onto like the front end calculator. But everybody loves Seller Amp, and there's nothing wrong with Seller Amp. But from my perspective, I'm just it's always been a Reveller. So
yeah, it's funny you mentioned that too, because I had my VAs use both, like try it out, like Seller Amp, Reveller. Even they agree that like Reveller more. Even my students that I'm teaching, they come from a Seller Amp background, and then when I tell them to try Reveller, they end up liking it more too. So it's just it's quicker. It helps you make better decisions.
Sorry to interrupt. And usually what I tell people that are like, oh, why do you use Reveller? Seller Amp's great. I'm like, well, what are you using Seller Amp for? If you're talking about an on-screen calculator, I think you're going to find Reveller is a faster option. It has some good the variation viewer on it. If you're looking to do reverse sourcing utilizing a tool, well then that's not Reveller. That's not what Reveller does. That's what Seller Amp does. So I think that's the thing that when I try to tell people, say like, what do you want? What do you need it for? You in some cases it may make sense to do both. Like, hey, you may prefer the on-screen calculator with Reveller, and you want to use some of the cool. And I haven't used Seller Amp a lot, but I know the big thing is, and I'm just not a big reverse sourcer, but I know people that's their bread and butter for how they source, and Seller Amp does it well, and I think that's the thing is, well, what are you utilizing it for? What do you need it for? On screen calculator, you may find And Reveller are so cheap too. It's like you get a coupon, it's $80 a year or something like that. Like,
it's like half the price probably at least. But I think you missed over one of the most important things for me with the Reveller is the out of stock variation viewer.
Yeah, the variation aspect. That's what I'm saying. I haven't found
so fast.
Ace and Zen can do it, and I just haven't. I don't know. It does. It's not. I have to play with it a little bit more. I've heard they fixed it, and I haven't looked at it. But it just. I don't know. Reveller just it loads it. It's so nice. It's so easy to move. It's so easy to find the out of stock. It's so easy to see the reviews. You can go to Keepa and get the review data as well. But I mean, granted, the new like monthly sold thing is make some of that stuff not as important as it used to be. But yeah,
I don't know. Being able to quickly view it right there, pop up right on the screen immediately, and it loads fast, and that's kind of the key too, is that you can just pop it up and then look at it. It doesn't bog down the site, and then also like with SellerAmp, and I use SellerAmp. But one of the things that it does, it pops up in the sidebar and it skews the page over like funny. So sometimes it's blocking things on weird where you can't click on certain stuff. With Reveller, it's popping up in the page, which is nice, and I like that quite a bit. And that makes things easier. And SellerAmp has some other stuff that goes along with it that you can look up. But again, if you're trying to look at something fast and you don't really need to dive into all the extra things, which are a lot of it pulls from Keepa. You can do all that stuff with Reveller or the Ace and Inside pretty easily. I think it's one of those things where it's like an Apple, product to an Android product type thing. Like if you're Reveller versus another one, like it just whatever your preference is. I think Jeff, you said your team has both of them, right? Like you let them use whatever your sources, you let them use whichever product they want to use with Ace and Inside or the Reveller.
Yeah, so exactly. Yeah,
preference.
I even toggle them on and off, as I said. Like especially if I'm like sourcing stuff without variations, I'll use Ace and Zen because Ace and Zen, what I like that has built in, and again you can pay for other software, and at the end of the day you can see it with Keepa as well, but it has the IP alert features in there, so it just makes it easy, especially for my staff that maybe is not as good at picking up some of the stuff that you get with your time of being you're doing this. That usually I'm pretty good at saying, okay, I can see on Keepa, this has some IP risk or whatever, but I like that the alert feature there. The meltable feature, I think Reveller added it now, but there was a time where Ace and Zen had meltable warnings and hazmat warnings, and Reveller was, not as good with that. But,
they have it now, the hazmat.
Yeah, so I think they have that now. I think the only thing that, the one thing that Ace and Insight, Ace and Zen, whatever the right word is for has, is the IP alert. So it's good. And obviously, they both have their own ways of like calculating sales and other things, but I don't. I tell my team to don't look at that stuff. I don't trust it.
Oscar, talk a little bit about the seller snap, because I know that's something I've asked you before. I've been talking to you since I started, but it's one of those things where I'm like, man, the cost of it doesn't seem like it makes sense. And then I'm constantly annoyed with whatever cheaper repricer that I have. So talk a little bit about why you have that and what it's done for you and why you continue to use that versus some of the less, the lower cost repricers out there.
Yeah. I mean, I think it just helps simplify, what you need done in your business, right? So especially if you're like doing wholesale, you definitely have little time to kind of mess with repricing. Because I've tried like Go Aura back in the day, and it just looked too complicated. Or maybe I wasn't using it right, honestly. Who knows? But yeah, I tried Seller Snap, and it was pretty straightforward. Set your mins, max, set up your rules, and yeah, you basically just have them set like that. But yeah, it definitely wins over some buy bucks. Well, it prices your products more on the buy bucks. So like, I'll have a few products here and there where buy box is like at 18, 19, and somehow Seller Snap is winning me that buy box at like $25 or even $30 sometimes. And I'm just looking at it like, whoa, it's making me way more money than some of these guys are. And like even on Keepa, it doesn't even reflect the pricing on there. It just like happens, for me. And so, yeah, I mean, as far as the pricing goes, it just really comes down to, can you afford it? Are you at a point in your business where it makes sense to have it? And if you utilize it, is it giving you a good ROI back for what you're paying for it? So And I know people, they hear about Seller Snap, they see that $500 price tag, but they also have like an accelerator program, which is like half the price for like, I think a year or something that you can use it to like just try it
Yeah,
out.
it's a ramp, and I can't remember what it was, but I think it's like if you're doing 10K to 20K or something, it's X
Yeah.
price for 6 months or a year or something, and then if you once you hit above 20K, then it goes into the higher priced option. But what you just said is what I hear everybody say is that like I'm selling stuff that's higher than these other people that are in there, and it tweaks the price a little bit and wins me the buy box. And you're just selling more product, and you find that it's just doing a better job at the actual using AI to reprice versus some of these other ones that say they're AI, but I don't know what's going on with it. It doesn't give me reports outright. I'll be the lowest price on the thing. I know I'm the lowest price, and meanwhile I'll say there's a lower price that's higher than mine, and right next to mine says what my price is that's lower, and I'm like I don't understand why this can't get good reports out. But everybody I talked to about Seller Snap is like it's not like that at all. It's a very clean platform that runs well. You just set your mins and maxes, and for the most part, if you wanted to be hands off with it, you could, but you can jump in there and tweak it as you need to as well.
Yep. Yeah, and it's funny because I didn't know, because I was still new to repricers. I just did the min and max option, and I just had it on auto, like AI, for like a few months until I realized you can go on the back end and still tweak like the actual rules for certain situations. So yeah, I started tweaking that, and it improved my things even more. So it made a big difference for sure.
Yeah. What are your plans for scaling? Are you good where you're at? Are you maxed out for what you can do in your space? Like, what are you looking at here?
Yeah, I've been debating back and forth. Do we want to go warehouse route? Because coming up when I seen wholesalers, they've always talked about getting a warehouse, scaling and whatnot. But ever since I saw Corey Gannum kind of come out into the space and saw how his business is structured, outsourced completely, all prep center, doing wholesale, because I never heard of people doing wholesale with prep centers, at least the way I was looking around. I don't know, kind of had my mind rewired a little bit to maybe go on that aspect because, I'm a family guy too, right? So I have a lot of kids, and so I don't want to just be in the business like almost like a job, right? So, but yeah, so I've just been debating it back and forth because I do want to see the kids more growing up and stuff. Don't want to miss out on like the kid years, the little toddler years, because I've already missed my two top kids when I was still working. So yeah, so yeah, I mean, honestly, I really don't know, to be honest. I'm just still kind of debating.
Jeff, do you want to talk a little bit about your structure and the size that your warehouse was when you were, really ramping up and moving through, and then kind of your situation with how you balance home life and kids and Amazon?
Yeah, I mean, a warehouse doesn't necessarily need to change your ability to see the kids, but again, I mean, it is a matter of, and yeah, for what it's worth, with wholesale and with anything, you can make it work with a prep center. Like the big thing is, especially when you get to anything, once you get to volume, you have discussions with, that flat rate that they're putting on their website is not the site, the amount that you should be paying any prep center if
Right.
you're sending them any volume. You need to be negotiating and finding one that can make the margins work for them, but also make sense for you, because that's the thing with the wholesale prep. Especially a lot of wholesale prep can be significantly easier than OA prep. So
Yeah.
but also the margins are thinner. So, but yeah, from my perspective, I did the garage thing for a bit, and then we decided, we were having some trouble with getting the trucks, and as you said, like having some of the ones of like, we can't get this commercial. They don't want to deliver to the residential. It needs to be a commercial, and said, hey, this one supplier is going to pay for the warehouse. Because we started with like a 2,500 square foot warehouse, and I think my monthly rent was like 1,400. I'm like, okay, this one supplier is going to pay for it. We might as well do it, and whatnot. And actually, I also, I was under impression that I was like, okay, this 2,500 square feet, I'm going to use 1,000 square feet for Amazon, and at the same time, I'm going to open a mattress store in the front end side of it. I'm not sure what I was thinking at the time, but I was like, okay, this is what I'm going to do, because it's always that hard jump, right? To say, okay, like, there's a lot of, you don't have added bills at your house. And now it's like, okay, now I'm going to have an extra $2,000 a month of, bills. Do I really want to do this? I'm like, okay, the warehouse, between the mattress store and Amazon and, and I did that. And, I was trying to get set up I literally painted my walls blue and green for the mattress store. Like this, wow. I was all in on the damn mattress store. And then I forget what it was or something where I needed somebody to give me a reference or something, and they were slow in doing the reference, which then I missed the approval. And then by the time I got the next month, I'm like, holy shit, my warehouse is full. Where am I putting these damn mattresses? And then I said, forget this, and then went back to Amazon, and then full focus on Amazon. But it's hard. It's hard making that jump. And hey, man, for some people it may not make sense. It's whatnot. But yeah, we started at 2,500 square foot. Then we moved into a 7,000 square foot one, but kept the other one just for our customer returns, wow. Which was, you said you don't like returns. We had a whole warehouse full of them. And actually, wow. when we then started subletting it. So when we took over the other place, we subletted, 2,500 square foot warehouse with our eBay guy, because we were sort of outsourced. He'd buy it from us and sell it. So when we moved into the larger warehouse, but then we eventually took over the warehouse next to us. So now we just have about 15,000 square feet in a single location. And I've closed the returns warehouse. We're all happy together, returns and not returns and whatnot. But yeah, I mean, from a family life perspective, I have 2 young kids, as well. And, one of the things that, yes, we have a warehouse. I am here today, but about 25% of the year, I don't even live in the same state where my warehouse is because, I'm a big skier and mountain biker. So we pull the kids out of public school in January and we live on the mountain and ski every day for a couple of months. And then in the summer, I don't have to pull them out of school, but we go back up to the mountain and mountain bike every day. Well, they mountain bike every day. In the winter, they don't have programs, so I can ski with them every day. But with skiing, with mountain biking, they do mountain biking camp every day. So I'm not as out there as much by myself, but I'll still go out there a good amount. So we make it work because it's just like you said, it's about the family life, especially for the kids, right? It goes so fast. So you have to balance that of at least that that's what I want to do. I know I work a boatload more hours than I did when I was in my 9-to-5 job. But I structure it so when I'm up in the ski resort, living up there, at our house up there, I get up at 5 o'clock. I work until 8 o'clock, then we ski until lunch 1 o'clock, and then I come back and work 1 to 9. And hey, I got to hang out with the kids, on the slopes and spend the quality time up there. But it's on my time, so yeah. So that's the way we make it work, and and it's been fun, and it's good. And so for what it's worth, you get some good quality people. You can still, and I'm lucky. I have somebody that we brought on as a warehouse one who's now my VP of warehouse. That's just it's great, and she runs the warehouse for us, and I can do that with knowing that she's got it under control. But you can also do it with prep centers too.
Yeah, I factored out both, and I'm still in that decision with that as far as that. So, but I've spoken to another wholesaler. He told me, as long as you guys can keep prepping faster and clearing out space, it'll be good for now until you really, really need a warehouse. Once you start seeing that, it's getting very crammed up. So so we just been, as soon as we receive something, we prep it, and it's literally gone the next day. So I think for now we're pretty good how we are so far. So, but I guess as we start growing and scale, and then
and even when you grow and scale, especially from a wholesale perspective, there's a lot of advantages of having the prep center model, right? Because you got a supplier. We're on the East Coast over in the Philly area, so I got a supplier in California. It's going to cost me $6,000 to get to get it from if it's if it's 5 or 6 pallets, it's gonna probably cost me $6,000. Less than that, I can probably get it cheaper. And maybe sometimes we get it for $4,000, but it's very expensive. Whereas if you have like a California prep center, you got an East Coast prep center, you got a middle, prep center, versus setting up 3 different warehouses. Because that's one of the things we struggle with when we do look at some of our suppliers that are coming out west. It's just, it's a lot. Obviously, it depends where you're located. If you're in the central area, you may have better chances to keep those prices down, but I don't know. I mean, it's beautiful. Like, I love when I find somebody in Jersey because, again, I can get a truck for $500,
Wow.
and then, but if they're coming from California, that same truck's going to cost me $5,000. So, so there's definitely, I mean, we use prep centers mostly for OA, but we will use them for wholesale as well, especially getting out, dealing with stuff out on the West, finding somebody out there that can, handle the prep versus shipping it all the way over. Of course, these inventory placement fees add another level of complication because now it's more expensive to ship out west if you're paying the fee versus trying to do the optimization.
Yeah, I think it just got complicated.
Yes, it is. They keep adding complications. I don't know what I can do with this low inventory fee. It seems like they change that one every day.
Yeah, they changed it yesterday, I think. Or
that was a good change. I'm still not sure I fully understand it, but I like the one, we get two more free weeks, so I like that. But then the 20, no fee if not less than 20 sales.
Yeah, if it's under 20 that sell in that month, I think it said it was going to be less. So it probably doesn't apply to you. But yeah, I think if it's a slower moving item or something that you're not, like, say you're doing retail arbitrage, you pick something up, like, there's just no way to do that and to keep the stock count. So you're going to get hit with these crazy fees. I think they've now realized, hey, that's something that's important to the resellers, and they said, okay, if you're selling under 20 a month of this,
it's 20 a week. It's 20 a week.
20 a week it was?
Yeah, it's 20 a week. Yeah, that's
like,
because you can still move 80 in a month, and heck, you can move a lot, I guess, in the first 3 weeks, and you just got to slow your sales, in that last week.
Price.
Yeah. Well, no, and I mean that you were mentioning Seller Snap. We like Seller Snap as well. Like, they have a lot of like functionality already built in for this, so like you can just okay, it essentially can set it. Okay, I'm in the low inventory fee range. Let's lower our sales velocity so that we're not getting hit. And I'm pretty sure you can probably set it like don't sell more than 20 units or whatever. I'm still not completely convinced that 20 units in a week is at a seller level versus an ASIN level.
Right.
So I've not clear. They didn't make it very clear. But I did see like somebody on Amazon support team clarify that it is at the seller level, but I still have my doubts about that. And then if it's at a parent level or a child level, is also a big impact, because that could be vastly different if it's at a parent level. Which you would think, why would they do it at a parent level? But some of their damn rules related to I think some of the velocity stuff is based off of the parent level. So I don't know.
That seems to be crazy. I mean, there's some clothing things that have 80 variations easily. So if you were selling multiple stuff, that'd be a mess. Because some of those things, like you have lime green jogging pants, they're not going to sell very quickly.
It's so I don't know. We still got some time to figure it out and whatnot, but it's definitely interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure we'll get some updated changes again before that all happens as well.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in May. We've had two sort of push off, so I'll take it. Just save me some money.
Yeah.
So Oscar, you've shifted essentially fully into wholesale. Was there, what's sort of the reason to sort of drop the arbitrage aspect of your business?
Yeah, I guess really just the more systems required to run OA, because I know when we were doing a lot of OA at scale, we had like so many Google Sheets, right? Like we had Google Sheets for when we purchased products, when products got shipped, when we received the products, and we had to make sure we counted the right amounts from each of those separate orders. If they came from like Walgreens or something where they limit you to like 12 units. we had to keep track of the damages. So we had any damages from any of these OA sites, and especially if it was for bundles, that was even worse because then
Yeah.
we had like units sitting now
But
on
and
the
then when you buy the units and it's like, okay, I'm buying 100 of these, but 50's for this 2-pack. Then you got,
oh man,
or not 50, I should say 10 for
yeah,
a 2-pack. Then you got some for a 3-pack. Then you got a single.
yeah. So that even the like cleaning process was more complicated. You open
Yep.
every single box, take out
Yep.
all the
Yep.
wrapping or whatever they put in there.
Yep.
Yeah, so it was just a lot of managing with OA that honestly I just did not like to do. Like I would, and that's just that aspect, right? That's not even the actual buying process where you're actually
Yep.
buying the product. Like if they limit you on sites, I remember I would spend like 5 hours just buying product. Like literally my entire day would
Yep.
go on checking my VA's list and just buying the actual products.
Yeah.
So I was just like, man, that's that's time consuming. Versus wholesale, I can
Yep.
text my sales rep right now, like, hey, I need 100 cases of this. Do you got them? He'll let me know yes, no, and boom, I'm done.
Your preppers have to love it too, because prepping the same thing over and over and over again is massively faster, easier, and a little bit more mindless than having to try to figure out what boxes are going to fit what things
Yeah.
or what bags have all the different different sizes of all the different bubble mailers, poly mailers, and
Oh yeah.
all these different kind of things. It turns out being a mess.
Yeah, even the shipping process. I mean, once you get it on the pallets and stuff with OA, it was like what's gonna go on what box, how many units, all
Yeah.
these different expiration dates. Like yesterday, we did one wholesale order of one ASIN. It was 2 pallets. It only took my preppers like 5-6 hours to prep the entire thing, and because they knew they only needed the one poly bag size, they needed one sticker, all the same boxes. So even I was able to close the shipment ahead of time before they finished it because I already knew all the sizes, the weight of that, and yeah, it was literally in and out.
Yeah, then the cost per unit prepped goes down too, because it's you're not having to switch and change and try to figure things out.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. So Oscar, where can people find you? I know you have a lot of different platforms. You have some different things with you mentioned some coaching. You can talk about that too. But where can people find you on social media? How do they get involved with you if they do want coaching through you? Where do they look at there?
Yeah, I mean, I think as far as priorities, I think Instagram is number one if you want to reach out. For some reason, I just attract to that platform the most as number one. Like if you DM me on there, I'll probably see it way faster than Twitter or any other platform. So Instagram first. I think my handle is Oscar_Martinez817. And then I'm also on YouTube. I just put my first and last name on there, so it's just Oscar Martinez. You probably have to put like Amazon, search it just to find it. And then on Twitter, X, I think I put Hustling Oscar. I need to change all my handles, honestly, and have them all on one.
We'll drop the links in the description below here, so everybody has that. And then if they want to reach out to you for coaching or anything, how do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, they can reach out to me on Instagram. I do offer coaching that I barely kind of started. I'm not one to like push it out there either. I'm not trying to like just hey buy my stuff and I'll take your money type of person. It's real coaching if you want actual help. It's not giving you leads, wholesale suppliers, or just a bunch of handouts. It's giving you the actual resources to be able to do it yourself so that you have the proper guidance right there. So but yeah, they can reach out to me on Instagram. I do have like the private Discord group as well if they want to get in on that and just networking there. So yeah, I have different things for different people who are interested in there. So yeah, it's just all about reaching out though at the end of the day.
Yeah, is that one Wholesale Trappers? Is that yours?
Yeah, it's all exclusively wholesale stuff. So yeah, teach you from A to Z, how to start, open LLCs, weekly calls, just a lot of stuff like that. Templates, emails, all that good stuff.
Great. Well, hey, we appreciate you having you joining us here, and I think there's some real value that our subscribers will get out of this content. Is there anything else that you have that you want to ask us, or anything you want to close out with?
I mean, I guess just some advice for the audience. If you're looking to get into Amazon, just take your time. Go at your own pace. ignore the noise that you see on social media. 90% of it is fake, honestly. So don't feel like
There's a
you're
lot of noise on there. I'm pretty new to the Instagram and Twitter, and
Oh, really? Yeah. I'm pretty sure you notice it.
yeah. No, I was like, wow, that's a lot. What was I forget when was May 1st? Was that Monday or Tuesday? I'm like, I couldn't believe the amount of pictures of orange bars I saw. On the first of the month, I was like, holy cow, wow, this is I didn't know that. this is new. I'm old, I'm old. So I'm on Facebook. And then Joe's like, you gotta get on these other platforms. So I joined,
and all those orange bars in just 2 hours a day.
yeah. So, well, yeah, there's other so
definitely not a 2 hour day business if you're
Totally.
trying to stay in it for the long term here.
So,
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it just really depends. But yeah, I mean, like I said, just ignore the noise and just focus on yourself, like just do your own thing, because there's a lot of stuff behind the scenes that nobody talks about. So, it's easy to get caught up in that stuff and feel discouraged, unmotivated. So just don't do that to yourself. Don't punish yourself like that.
Yeah, it's hard work. It really is. And I think that gets lost in a lot of the guru advertising stuff. Is that this is not easy. And obviously I've talked about some of the scale that I've done, but this didn't happen overnight. I took the same similar path as you. I mean, I did this as a side hustle for 2 years before I even quit my day job. And it was 2.5 years before we got our first warehouse. And then, another 2 years, we moved into another warehouse. Like, it doesn't happen overnight. You got to put in the work. And it's not what's that word that people like to use? It's
passive income or something.
Passive, yeah. This is not passive. Like, no, it's not. This is not I do work for a couple hours and make boatloads of money. I mean, you can, if you're good at outsourcing, you can definitely minimize your involvement. But the thing is, you're never going to find people that are good as you, and it's hard to be fully you're never going to fully outsource it, but you can minimize some of your work if you have a really good team. But it takes time to get there. You got to figure it out yourself before you're hiring it off to your team.
Yeah. Like you had mentioned earlier, I mean, there's no secret sauce to this business. It's just putting in the work. Like, that's all there is. Like, just learning from the mistakes, all the lessons that you took. Like, that's all it is. Nothing, no secret tactical arbitrage, no secret sell around trick. It's just all work.
The saying, it's simple, but it's not easy. It's it takes work to get it going and to keep it going.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, Oscar, thanks. We appreciate having you, and we're excited to kind of see what our followers kind of comment and ask some questions on here. We hope that you jump in and answer some as well.
No, yeah, definitely. Will do.